This video is all about stage 2 tuning for S58 engine cars. Of course, behind me I have a G80 M3, but you might have an M4 or an X3M, an X4M. This video is going to discuss what's required for stage 2, what sort of power you're going to be looking to make, and also what sort of costs are involved. So this stage 2 has gone through multiple stages on my car. I've done it on petrol, I've done it on ethanol, I've done it on methanol, and I've even done it on ethanol and methanol, and we've seen some obscene, crazy results. So let's start off at the basics. Let's wind it back. For you guys in America, we're going to talk about our 93 tuning. For you guys in the UK, that's going to be your 99 RON. When it comes to the tuning on these cars, there's loads of options out there and it can get a little bit confusing, but you can keep it nice and simple. If you want to go to stage 2, if the car is made after June 2020, for you guys in X3Ms, a lot of you have got 19 plate ones, but for the guys that were made after June of 2020, the ECU needs to be sent away. So if you look on my website, you can see the pricing for that. The ECU gets sent away, it takes about 4 days, and then it comes back and it's able to be tuned. Most of the time when we're tuning these, we're doing it through Boot Mod 3. We're still doing a custom map, but we're using the Boot Mod 3 to apply our custom map. One of the reasons we like to do it is the data logging on it is exceptional, and secondly, it opens up additional features like map switching and flex fuel, but I'll get back to that later on. So, you know the ECU's got to be sent off, you put something like a boot mod on it. You've also got the gearbox to consider. Now, the gearbox does not have to be tuned, but me personally, I think one of the worst things about this car when it's standard is the gearbox, so for me, it's a must. Then, when you go over to the physical parts, what's actually required for stage 2? What is stage 2? Well, it's when you're working on the exhaust. So on this car, I've got a single mid pipe and I've got downpipes on it. And what that does is it allows me to make more power, and that is the main difference between a stage 1 car and a stage 2 car. We know that 99 RON or 93 octane, if you're out in America, is going to get you about 700 brake to the crank, and you're going to run low 10s on the quarter miles. But what about for you guys that want to get into the 9 seconds? Well, it's actually quite easy to get you there. You can make an extra 100 brake by utilising a flex fuel system, which means that you're going to be mixing ethanol into your main petrol tank. To do this, you fit a little sensor. It takes us about an hour and a half to install. We do some additional mapping on the car, and what that means now is when you add ethanol into your main petrol tank, it's automatically going to increase the power. No map switching, no buttons to touch. You can even see on the dash itself how much ethanol is in there, so you know you've got exactly the right amount, and that is going to get you an extra 100 brake horsepower, and it usually just dips you into the 9s on the quarter mile runs as well. One of the things that I love about the ethanol setup on these cars is the ease of use. On older cars, it was much more difficult to use ethanol. You had to flash the car over to an ethanol map. You had to get an ethanol sensor and wire it in yourself, or try to pre-mix the mixture and hope that you got it right. But on these cars, all of that is gone. You have a flex fuel sensor that goes on the car, and as you add in the ethanol, the power automatically increases. You don't have to switch any maps, and also you can check on the dash the percentage. So if I tell you that you want 40% ethanol, you can hold a button on the speedo and it's just going to go straight round to 40, and you know, okay, I've got that mix right. If it goes to 50 or it goes to 30, you know you need to add a bit of ethanol or a bit of petrol to get you there. Now, there are pros and cons to that system. The main pro, in my opinion, is you're utilising the parts that are already on the car. You're not needing any additional fuel pumps or injectors. There's no extra fuel lines. It's already pre-existing on the car. You just need one little sensor. Now, there are alternatives to this system, because the main downside is you're only going to have the extra power when you've got the ethanol in the car. So if you're daily in the car and you've always got your fuel from like Tesco's or Shell, you're not going to have no ethanol available to you unless you bought it in a race tin. For you guys in America, I know you've got it at the pump, so this ain't really applicable for you. But us guys in the UK, we can't go to the petrol station and just get ethanol, so we have to buy it in tins and drums. So for me, it don't really matter, because most of the time I want that extra 100 brake. I'm at a race event. I'm at Santa Pod, I'm at a run mile strip. I'm doing something specific with the car where I knew I wanted to have that extra power. There is an alternative, and the alternative system is methanol. Now, there are increased risks and increased costs with the methanol. So, because you've got additional pumps and you've got additional lines, there's always more chance of having a failure because there is now more equipment on the car. That being said, you can have the power there all the time. You can have the methanol on a button, and you can have your maps switchable, and you literally just press a button underneath the dash, and now you're on a meth map. Now, if you're out racing, you never know when you're going to want that power. That methanol system is quite handy to have. On the car behind me, I have ethanol and I have methanol, and I've done testing with both. So on either system, I can get you 800 brake. The meth does cost more because it takes 2 days to install, whereas the ethanol only takes about an hour and a half. But horses for courses. Some of you guys are going to want to have the extra power just at events, and some of you guys are going to want to have the extra power all the time. Let's talk about what we've been up to with this car. Is this car just for marketing purposes? No, this is a development car. This is what we do all our learning with. This is a new engine to us. This is a new engine ECU to us. And what we're trying to do is find limitations, find problems, and work around them so that when you come in with your G80, you can just get it mapped and go on your way. And that's exactly what we've done. We've took this car from stage 1 to stage 2 to now a really aggressive stage 2 where we're using ethanol and methanol, and the results have been crazy, and we've been pushing on it in the most extreme, hardest ways possible. So how's this car getting on? What's it actually doing? Well, we're still on a stock engine, we're still on a stock turbo, and we're still on a stock gearbox. We've got the 0 to 60 down to 2.2 seconds. We've got our quarter mile down to 9.6 seconds, and 100 to 200 kilometers, we've got all the way down to 4.3 seconds. These are ballistic numbers. These are even faster than the F10 M5 that we had. It's a super, super impressive platform. But for you guys that are thinking, well, how have you tested it? Have you pushed on this car yet? Have you just done a glory pull and you've left it at that? No, we have been racing this every single weekend. So literally yesterday I was in Germany at the Nürburgring. The weekend before, we was at a 1 mile race event where we was literally racing this again and again from a standing start all the way up to a mile, where we was getting close to 200 miles an hour. And the weekend before that, we was racing some other G80s with some forged engines and huge turbos, which if you check out on Officially Gas, you see we've done all right. So yeah, we're really pushing on this platform. We're testing it in every way that we can. We are going to get the car up to Santa Pod as well. So we've got some Mickey Thompsons, and we're going to be seeing what sort of quarter mile times we can achieve in this car when on a prep surface. Like I say, at the moment, we've already got it down to a 9.6, but can we get it below a 9.5? Let's find out. Lots of talking about the engine, but I've got a little bit about the gearbox to talk about as well. So when this was on a stock gearbox calibration, it was doing my head in. I hate the way this car changes gear as standard, so I put XHP on it. Their stage 3 is amazing. When I was running it on petrol, I loved it. When I was running on ethanol, I loved it as well. But when I've gone for ethanol and methanol and I'm racing, that's when I needed to change a few things. So one of the gearbox guys that we know, Sutphin Tuning, he has helped support us in building a custom map for this car. So for anyone that is looking to do quarter mile racing, or they're looking to do some extreme power, maybe hybrids or forged engine, Sutphin Tuning is a really big tuner out there for gearboxes, and I recommend him. So whether you're going through me or not for your engine side, if you're already tuned on your car and you're maybe hitting some issues with the gearbox, of course, a lot of you know that when you're running big power, these gearboxes are getting built and getting the clutch packs changed in them. I recommend hitting up Sutphin Tuning because he's managed to help me massively. How I got that car down to a 4.3 weren't just power, it also related to the changes that he made in the gearbox, so big shout out to him. One question that's popping up is, should I tune my car through boot mod or MHD? Well, there's a platform that's right for everyone, and me personally, I love them both. When it comes to this car, I was literally sitting on the fence, not sure what to do. So if you've got MHD, you're not going to be held back. If you've got boot mod, you're not going to be held back. Anyone that's doing custom mapping will be able to utilize both of those platforms really well. Even our OTS maps that they've got for these, both of the guys have done really good jobs. They both offer custom ROMs, so they've both got lots of extra features. So if you're trying to decide whether to use boot mod or MHD, do your own research, look into what works for you, but whatever decision you go with, it's not going to be wrong. For you guys that don't want to go all out with the extra map switching and whatnot, we can flash these in-house. We still need to send the ECU away, but you don't have to get a boot mod or an MHD license, but I recommend doing it just for all the extra features that they do actually unlock. What does the future have in store for our G80 M3? Well, at this moment, I'm still loving this Stage 2 package. It is ballistically fast, and I believe for me to really see some benefits from here, I'm going to need to change the turbo, build the engine and build the gearbox all at the same time. So at the moment, I'm really trying to push on it as it is at the moment. I want to get it up to Santa Pod. I want to see what quarter mile times can be achieved on a stock engine. And then once I've exhausted the possibilities of a stock engine and stock turbo, that's when I'll be looking to go further. But if I do, I want to see a big jump. Like I say, at the moment, I'm at a 4.3 on 100 to 200. We're running 900 brake horsepower. If I'm going to take a jump up, I want to be at 1100, 1200 brake. I want to be deep into the threes on the 100 to 200. I don't just want to take a little bit of power off. So at the moment, I'm going to hold tight. I'm going to keep testing this. I'm going to keep taking it to events, and I'm going to see what is actually possible with minimal mods. Some common questions that we get asked when it comes to tuning these. First one, are you going to lose your warranty? Yes, you are. If you flash this car, your warranty will be gone. So make sure that's something that you're okay with. When it comes to maintenance on these cars, we like to change the oil every 5,000 miles. And also, on 99 RON, it's not so important, but if you're going to be using ethanol or methanol, it's important to make sure you've got fresh plugs, if I can say that right, and gap them down appropriately. We like to go at 0.022 of an inch. If you're doing those things on the car, it's going to be much, much happier. When it comes to air filters, the stock system actually works brilliantly. On this car, I am running the M Venturis. They sound amazing, they look amazing, and my favourite thing about them is the turbo inlets are opened up. So maybe that's why we're actually able to run a 9.6 on the quarter mile and a 2.2 0 to 60. It definitely has helped. How much it's helped, I'm not sure. But for you guys that want to be running 700, 800 brake, we can do that on a stock system. But for you guys that want a bit of bling under the engine bay, you want a bit more noise, then M Venturi is definitely the way to achieve that. That is our stage 2 package. For you guys that are interested in it, go over to our website. You'll see all the packages are laid out there and all the pricing is laid out there. Whether you want it in-house or remotely, you want it through BootMod or you want it through MHD, we can facilitate all of that for you. If you've got any additional questions, hit me up, leave it in the comments, send me an email. I'll do my best to help you. I hope this video has been useful for you. And if it has, click like and click subscribe.